During the building campaign, there was that God at Work banner that was hanging up at the middle school. And the idea there was, of course, to sign up a name of someone that you would hope would benefit from the church building at some point in time in their life. So one day I walked by and I looked at it and I was thinking about my friend Bill and his wife Missy. And I thought about them and thought about how WCC would be a pretty cool place for them. And through conversations with Bill earlier, I knew he was a very spiritual guy, but maybe not a real organized church or an organized religion guy. And so I thought a WCC might be the place for them someday, but at this point in time, it would be a bit of a long shot, I guess. So I went ahead and put their names on there anyway and just sort of went off and forgot about it and see what happens.
And you were being kind about very spiritual, but that's all right. The whole connection with Troy and I is through music, and it really started even prior to Troy and I becoming friends. It was a Christmas party at work. We three of us got together. We're the only ones who actually had powered instruments at the time, and we sang some blues version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
At the time, I was working at an orthopedic company, but interviewing at another orthopedic company. And through the interviewing process, I met some people at that company that had a band. And I thought, well, how cool is that? You know, this company has their own band. So I was looking at a job there, but what I really found was a band that I wanted to join, and they had a need. They needed a drummer. So on the same day that I received my job offer, I was also busy playing a gig with the band at that company's Christmas party. So throughout these business trips and traveling with Bill, we would end up in some pretty interesting and beautiful places. And I like the outdoors, and I knew that Bill liked the outdoors. So we would go do some hiking. And when you're hiking out in nature, for me, that sort of leads me to thinking about God, because God created all these things, and I just think He's never more present for me than when I'm out in His creation, out in nature.
Yeah, it was interesting because I too really enjoyed nature and the outside, but more from a peace and relaxation. And I don't know that I immediately tied all that together spiritually. And Troy, I think, recognized that. I don't know if you recognized it up front or kind of as we're on these hikes, kind of realized maybe where I was heading. But you started to put some of those threads together and just, you know, ever so gently start weaving in some of your feelings of spirituality within the environment. Another thing that Troy did very well was then we'd get back from the trips and we'd be talking about work, obviously, and maybe poking his head over the cubicle wall, and then he started bringing up music as well. And so he's using the kind of the majesty and the awe of the outside and kind of leading that into God's work, but then also sparking my other interest, which he knew was huge, which was music and how that impacts my life. And he would just subtle things like talking about, hey, I'm playing drums this weekend and we practiced last night and the set's going to be awesome. You know, just enough to tweak my curiosity to come check it out, and then that was it, he would drop it. And Troy and I started having some conversations about faith and where my head was at, what I believed, super broad questions. Is there a God, is there not? Not about what's going to happen after death. It wasn't ever a scare tactic. It was more just a genuine love of faith and wanting, I think, to have a further clarification of where my mind was at. And again, I never got the sense that it was something that he was trying to manipulate at all. It was a pure friendship, a love that I could feel through Troy, and really would continue to make me think. You know, I'd lay in bed at night and begin to wonder, okay, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? It's time for me to start thinking about my spirituality and getting into that faith. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I could sense in you when you were talking with me the genuineness of the way you felt. You weren't pulling me along or trying to push me there, I should say, to become part of this drive to have membership or something of that nature. It was a total genuine spirit that you had, wanted Missy and I to be a part of this family, and it's worked out fantastic.
So I put Bill and Missy's name on the God at Work banner and just sort of went about my business, and a lot happened right after that with you. I was just sitting back watching it all happen, and you guys started coming to church and visiting and getting interested. And to make a very long story very, very short, you know, I put his name on the banner hoping that you guys could someday come to WCC. The truth of the matter was, when the building was built and the chairs arrived to be set up at the church, one of the volunteers who set the church up was, or set the chairs up rather, was Bill.